From downtown Midland, it's The Morning Show on AM 1070 and FM 107.1 with Craig Anderson and Lisa Kay, addressing local, state, national, and world issues that affect you. To get your opinion on the air, call now 620-8700, 620-8700.
Thanks for tuning in, Craig and Lisa Kay. Brandon W. Hodges joins us now. Brandon's on the school board in Midland and has recently filed a petition in intervention in the current case against the TEA. So we're going to find out about that. Brandon, fill us in. What's this all about?
How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing great.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. No, so I actually filed the petition for intervention. I had my attorney, Joe Baker, out of Frisco, file it. And it's actually against the 5 districts that have brought suit against the Commissioner of Education. Our stance on it is that we want the A through F accountability ratings released. So actually we filed the petition for intervention against those 5 districts that have sued the Commissioner of Education and the TEA under the ultra vires legal filing that they filed, saying that he didn't have the power and the authority to release the A through F accountability ratings, which we believe to be absolutely absurd. If the Commissioner of Education, who has the Texas Education Code, law, the state legislature has gone through and voted, and the governor has signed into those laws, and then you have Article 7 of the Texas Constitution behind it, which talks about free public education. My question is if the Commissioner of Education doesn't have the authority, or they're saying he has extended over his power to release the A through F accountability ratings, whom shall it be who does have the authority and power in the state of Texas to release the A through F accountability ratings?
Okay, and the A through F accountability ratings obviously are what you, it speaks for itself. But the problem is those ratings are available, I presume, and nobody knows what they are. Is that right? So
the TEA did release the actual numerical results of the STAR score, but the key, the domains, that is the only thing that matters, that gives us our A through F ratings for the districts or the individual campuses in the state of Texas. That formula is determined by the TEA. And those 5 school districts have come in, again, second year in a row that they've used lawfare to keep those A through F accountability domains locked up in litigation. It seems to the average person that this being the second year that there's been a lawfare litigation from releasing those, that there seems to be possibly some political maneuvering going on. Seeing how we're about to go into a legislative session this year, and we're not going to release for the second year in a row the A through F accountability ratings, it seems as though there may be some TASB and TASA political maneuvering going on to keep those results from being released. And so my question is, and I know that the administrations and superintendents across the state of Texas, and especially the ones that are with these 5 school districts that have brought this lawsuit, they have the best interest of our students in mind on suing the TEA not to release these. And so I am hoping that they will be just as excited if this continues to be tied up in litigation when they find out that we're not able to do our turnaround plans. There's a whole lot of different, from the curriculum to how we study for the TEKS in order to make the STAR result, to take the test for the STAR results. That is, we essentially plan our entire year around the STAR test. So the fact that they've tied this up in court, to me, the way that I understand the Texas Administrative Code, it establishes the minimum criteria for the evaluation process. And so the Texas Education Code Funds of a school district may not be used to pay an administrator who has not been appraised under this section in the preceding 15 months. So since we're now going on 24 months, I'm assuming these administrators across the state of Texas, since they're continuing to tie the A through F accountability ratings up in court, will not mind going on furlough and not being paid out of the love of the students.
Do it for the children.
Do it for the children.
All right, 7:14 now. So this is not against TEA, it's against these 5 districts who do not want these test scores released.
Correct. My perspective and position is in favor of releasing the scores. You can go back and forth and say, I don't like the STAR exam, and I have those questions as well. But to file the lawsuit the way that they did and say that the Texas Education Agency Commissioner of Education, Mike Morath, has extended or gone past his authority or power is absolutely ludicrous. There's an administrative process. If folks with the Texas Education Agency, you can actually download the accountability manual. It's 307 pages, and there are numerous administrative processes that can be followed if you do not like the results or you believe that the results are incorrect for your individual school district. But it specifically states that you cannot file a lawsuit until all the administrative processes have been exercised. So the fact that it started out in a district courtroom in Travis County seems a little weird. And again, I agree that you can disagree on the STAR exam, but I don't know that you can actually disagree that the Commissioner of Education for the state of Texas, who's appointed by the governor, who has Texas education law, Texas administrative code, and the Texas Constitution Article 7 behind him, who grants him that authority, I think it's kind of a hard sell to make to say that they don't have the authority or power to release the A through F accountability ratings. You might not like them. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the authority to release them.
Right, you may not like the truth. Well, let me ask you this. These 5 schools, Barstow, Pecos, Toya Independent School District, Fort Stockton among them, do they know what these results are?
They don't. Nobody knows. From my understanding, nobody knows the A through F accountability domains. Only TEA does. And they were about to release it. There was supposed to be a preview, I believe, August 15th for the district. I can't remember the exact dates on it, but it was earlier in August.
You know, it seems to me that they must anticipate really having poor scores if they want to have this stuff withheld.
I think probably there's some accountability issues that people don't want to have. I mean, if the legislative session was about to go in to start, when you have legislative priorities and school choice being one of those, coming up, going to be hotly debated within the State House. I would say that the Texas Association of School Boards and Texas Association of School Administrators who use taxpayer dollars to lobby against the taxpayer probably don't want the legislatures to have that information because it makes it a hard sell to continue to give the hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to the Texas public schools to continue on the insane trajectory of not improving student outcomes year over year that they've been doing for about the last 15 years.
Brandon, what right do these 5 school districts have to have so much power that they can have these results withheld?
Well, they think that they've got so much power that they represent all 254 counties across the state of Texas and over 1,100 independent school districts. And seeing how the independent school districts or public education in the state of Texas is supposed to be locally controlled, last I was made aware is Pecos and Barstow and Toya and Crandall and Forney and Kingsville and Fort Stockton weren't in Midland County.
So, as a school board member, you may not like what the results are that come in, but by gosh, you do have the right to know what they are. And so do we as citizens and taxpayers. We have the right to know, too. And that way, if you know what direction to at least try to go.
Absolutely. And the other school, I can't speak for the school board in its entirety. I can only speak for myself. as an elected trustee for District 5. But what I can say is, regardless of what the perspective or viewpoints of the other elected school board members are, that does not restrict me from representing my constituents in District 5. And that is part of my lawsuit, or the part of the reason that I filed the petition, is because it is of my belief and interpretation that we are being kept from the complete information in order to make evaluations and assessments on the district without the A through F ratings. MISD did release their academic predictions, but the academic predictions that they released for this year, which I appreciate the fact that they were released, is those predictions are based on last year's predictions, because the last A through F accountability ratings that MISD received, or any district, was from 2022, and we were a B district. So when we say that we're essentially taking this year's projections or predictions, and we're comparing them to last year's predictions and projections, because last year's actual A through F accountability ratings are also still currently held up in litigation. So we have not had an actual A through F accountability rating since 2022, which was graded on a curve. So therefore, when you throw in COVID and all the other matters in it, we actually, the citizens across the state of Texas, have not got a health report card on their independent, locally controlled school districts across the state of Texas for the last 5 years. So essentially, if you had a kiddo going into kindergarten, they're getting ready to go into junior high, and the parents have not had any official information on the health and the academics of what their kids have been learning in that campus, in that district for 5 years.
All right, now, Brandon, what you filed here then is not a lawsuit, but a petition in an intervention-type petition. It's not a lawsuit per se. Is that right?
No, it is a law. It's a petition intervention is under some certain guidelines for the state of Texas. It is saying that a third party has looked at this lawsuit and has decided that they have been harmed or grieved from this lawsuit, and they are coming in filing a petition for intervention to join and become a party of the said lawsuit. So yes, it is because the lawsuit was already filed. This is my attempt to come in and be part of the lawsuit. It's the exact same process that I followed in 2019 when I came in as an intervener in the 2019 bond result election.
Right, we're at 722. Brandon W. Hodges on school board, of course, in Midlands on the radio. And if you would like to talk to Brandon, our number is 620-8700. You may text 432-222-2500. It's amazing to me, Brandon. It's hard to comprehend for me to comprehend that 5 school districts in the state take control over the ratings.
120 did the year before.
And so they just hold up the whole process, which is terribly unfair to you or any other school board around the state.
Yeah, and most importantly, it harms our schools. Think about this. The State Board of Education develops the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge Skills, and that's what is the STAR test is testing. We spend 18 to 21 days, depending on the grade, here locally, doing different tests, doing different ancillary learning, right, to make sure that we are learning those TEKS and getting ready to take the STAR test, starting in the 3rd grade. The state spends hundreds of millions of dollars developing the test. These kids get stressed out. So we've got some kids that are absolutely just lose their mind taking the test. So we physically and mentally and emotionally just drain these kids. Then they do all the things that they're supposed to do. The teachers spend all the time, all the investment, all the money on the curriculum, all the money on the PLCs, all the money learning the pedagogies. We do all these things in order to get ready to take the STAR test to measure the knowledge base of those teaks. And the kids show up and take the exam after some of these kids have been pushed physically and emotionally and spiritually and mentally to the point that I have got constituents who call me and say, my son or daughter was vomiting, puking the whole week before STAR test. And then they show up and take the STAR exam, and then some adults who say, well, adult behavior has to change, and we have to make sure that we're teaching these kids and improving student outcomes, and that comes before adult convenience. Those same adults that say that then file lawsuits to keep the A/F accountability ratings from being released, and it's detrimental to the students.
Well, sure it is. If I'm one of those students, and be it good, be it bad, whatever, but I want to know the results I want to know how I did.
This has nothing to do other than doing the normal right thing. It doesn't matter if the results are good or bad. The predictions that were released for MIC shows this district being a shining beacon. The improvements that have been made and the turnaround that has been made, those predictions show that it's doing excellent. Why would you not want to show those? Why would you not want to make those official from the state of Texas? And there was a release that came out and said from the superintendent that said, although we're not part of this lawsuit, we are for it. We absolutely promote it. We're with it in spirit, was the gist of the release.
Wait a minute. Our superintendent said that she's on board with these 5 districts?
Yeah, she represented the board in that statement and said that although we were not part of that lawsuit, that she was essentially for the lawsuit. I'll have to find the exact terminology.
But what it boils down to in layman's terms, she doesn't want to know the results either?
I don't think it has anything to do. Dr. Howard's done a really good job on putting some programs and placements in there. I don't want to pick on Dr. Howard on it. I think part of this has to do with maybe the revolutionary spirit, shall we say, of educators sticking together. But as a board member, nobody called me to ask me, hey, should we put this statement out because we're all in agreement that we're with this court case. I'm so against the premise of this court case that I put my own money where my mouth is and hired some really good attorneys that I've worked with previously from Frisco to file a petition for intervention to show standing to the judge to hop into this lawsuit to agree with the TEA and show that they should be able to release these A through F accountability scores. So I think we got little wires crossed on there. But it doesn't surprise me that I wasn't made aware of any of this. You know, the president of the school board removed me from all the internal committees and different things a long time ago. The dysfunction of this board is to the detriment of teaching our kids in this community, which is pretty sad.
All right, then wait a minute. Now, there's so much going on here.
Which brings me to another point. The most important thing that we have going on in November are school board elections. So if Midland is serious about changing the trajectory of local school board and benefiting our kids, then pay attention to the school board elections that are coming up this November.
All right, so the president of the school board removed you from what and why?
From the internal facilities committee. I have no idea. I don't know why.
Because he's the redheaded stepchild?
Well, because I don't go with the flow and I ask questions.
Brandon, we got to leave it at that. We got to run. Thanks for the information. It is good to have you on the radio.
Hey, I appreciate it's good that you are on the radio, but it's even better that Lisa's on the radio.
Ah, thanks, Brandon.
Oh, my gosh, I can't deny that.